It's really starting to feel like PlayStation has truly forgot who got them to the top in the first place. And no, it's not the shareholders, and no, it's definitely not people like Herman Hulst who seem to have made every wrong move every step of the way. It's the players. The people who have spent the most time with PlayStation, the people who grew up with PlayStation, the people who made Ratchet & Clank a household name, the people who waited in line for the next God of War, the people who stayed up all night playing Killzone. It's the players and gamers who made PlayStation feel special and made it feel different from every other console. But lately, it feels like PlayStation has been heading in this extreme wrong direction, a direction that many of its core gamers really don't like. They're trying to build themselves towards this future that is all digital, that doesn't feature any of the iconic franchises that you grew up loving, and seems to only want to cater to people who are interested in live service slop. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that every new PlayStation IP is bad. I think there's a lot of great stuff there. I think some of the best games released in the past decade have been PlayStation exclusives. And yes, you might have a problem that some of the games feature women in them. And yes, you might have a problem that some of the overall content is headed towards the more woke side. I understand people have issues with these things, and I'm not saying that PlayStation shouldn't take risks and that they shouldn't play it safe, but what I am saying is that they need to remember where they came from. They need to remember who got them there, and they need to remember that in order to succeed, your core audience needs to be your champion. And the only way that these people, us gamers, are going to champion PlayStation going into the future is if we truly believe that PlayStation has our best interests in mind. And right now, it doesn't feel like they have that, because not only have they pushed aside the players' wants, they've also pushed aside the franchises that we grew up loving. Killzone disappeared, Resistance disappeared, Sly Cooper disappeared, Jak and Daxter disappeared, and even God of War turned into something completely different from the series that many people grew up loving. So what this all comes down to is that you have a group of core PlayStation gamers who are sitting here wondering, where the hell did our PlayStation go? The PlayStation that we grew up loving, the characters we grew up loving, the series we grew up loving. What happened? And at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is that PlayStation doesn't have an exclusive problem, it has an identity problem. Because now it's chasing something that it's not. It's leaving core gamers behind, and it's going after a more modern audience. And it comes to a point where PlayStation really needs to ask itself if it's heading in the right direction and if it's really doing the right thing. I mean, realistically, if you look at the numbers, yeah, sure, they of course think they are. Their stock price keeps going up, people keep buying the hardware, people keep buying their games. But I think it's less because of what PlayStation has done to secure that, and more just so that everybody else has shit the bed so fucking bad that there's really nowhere else to play if you want to be on console. Nobody cares about Xbox, nobody wants to buy an Xbox, so you're basically locked into PlayStation. It's become the de facto home console. And yes, obviously the Switch 2 exists, and I love my Switch 2, but most people who want to play everything, who want to try all sorts of new games, while yes, Switch 2 is getting a bunch of those games, it doesn't really enter into people's minds as much as PlayStation does. PlayStation has become the home console. Xbox is on its way out, and the only place you have left is PlayStation. So to them, they probably think like they can do no wrong. Everything we do is pushing us further forward. We're grabbing more players, we're grabbing more attention, we're getting more sales, we're getting more hardware. Everything is growing and it's awesome. But it's not awesome. The core gamers are upset. Everybody's pissed that you're ending physical, because a lot of core PlayStation gamers are physical collectors, and they feel like they're not being heard and that they're being left in the dust because you're telling them that you guys don't matter as much as the digital gamer. And what we want is the digital gamer, because 100% of the profit with them comes to us. And when you guys buy physical, that's not the same. We get like half the amount of money. So fuck you guys, we're moving towards a different audience. Same thing with their games. They've looked at games like Killzone, they've looked at Resistance, they've looked at Sly Cooper, they've looked at Twisted Metal, and they've put all those things together and they go, none of that stuff sells as much as Spider-Man. So all you people who are here for those games, bye-bye. Welcome to more Spider-Man. You want more Mary Jane in your games? Well, guess what? You're gonna get it. Because all signs point towards the more women they have in games, the more it sells. How many copies has Horizon sold as a series? Millions upon millions. Horizon has sold more copies as a series than all of your favorite old PlayStation franchises combined. That's why they don't care. That's why when they hear people going like, fuck women in games, I hate when my games feature women, they just go like this, blah, blah, blah. Because they know it doesn't fucking matter. Because they're selling tons of copies. Which sucks, of course. I mean, I'm not saying it sucks that there's women in games. I'm saying it sucks that they're not listening. Because they feel like they don't have to. They don't think that they need to bring back Jak and Daxter. They don't think that they need a hardcore first-person shooter like Killzone or Resistance. Because to them, they'll make their money somewhere else. And they'll make more money than they ever made before. So we're just left here sitting like, what the fuck, man? Where the Hellgast? Where's Ape Escape? Where's all the cool games that we grew up with and that we love? Where's Siphon Filter? Where's SOCOM? They don't care. They see us and they think that we're good for nothing and that we'll just buy whatever they release. Because that's what the numbers show. And that's what the stats show. And that's what the monthly active users show. And that's what the PlayStation Plus numbers show. And that's what the sales of their latest games show. Is that whatever they put out, we'll eat it up. And people will say, no, not me. I don't know. Nope. I don't do that. I don't buy anything. I don't buy it because I stand my ground and I'm not buying anything, blah, 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 blah. But then they release 16-year-old games, Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, digital only. And they sell millions of copies and they're the 2 highest selling games on PSN. So what? So PlayStation's not gonna listen. PlayStation's not gonna change anything. Why would anything change when everything is working so well in their favor and all they have is a bunch of angry gamers who like to talk a lot and like to say a lot of shit and like to do a lot of community notes on Twitter? But at the end of the day, nothing is changing. The core of PlayStation has shifted into something else. And the games that we love, that we grew up with, Kratos, a Kratos who was dangerous and who was angry and who killed everyone and everything. Gone, man. Now he's sad dad. The Hellgast, gone. Now we got Marathon. Sly Cooper, gone. Now we got Astrobot, which is a great game, but it doesn't give people the same feeling of connectedness, you know what I mean? People grew up with Sly Cooper. They love Sly Cooper. You can't just kick him to the side and replace him with something else. Same with Ratchet and Clank. People want more Ratchet and Clank, but instead they're getting Spider-Man and Wolverine. But Insomniac would say, hey man, we don't sell any fucking copies of Ratchet and Clank. So as much as you say you love it, you're not supporting it. So fuck that. We'll just make more Spider-Man. And I get it. I get what they're doing. They want to make money. They got to keep making money if they want to keep existing. So of course they're going to do that. Of course they're going to leave these things behind. They're going to leave that old identity behind. We were the building blocks. Those franchises helped lift them up until they were able to reach a position where they didn't need them anymore. Now they can move on and chase things that they really care about. And yes, it does feel like once The Last of Us came out that the entire PlayStation strategy completely shifted and that they don't care about those mid-tier games and that they don't care about small games. Because they know that if they release things on the quality of The Last of Us, people will eat it up and people will talk about them and people will say, my God, dude, have you seen those insane games that are on PlayStation? Check them out. Nobody's gonna say that if they release a new Medieval. You know what I mean? It's just not the same. And it sucks because we're sitting here just like upset about it. But when it really comes down to it, we didn't buy enough games. So I don't want to blame the gamers, but PlayStation looks at it purely from numbers. And their numbers say people want Horizon, people want Spider-Man. Their numbers don't say people want more Killzone because one game of Horizon sold more than all of Killzone combined. It sucks. I want those things back just as much as you. I want the real identity of PlayStation back. I remember PlayStation Experience. I remember having people at PlayStation who you felt cared about PlayStation, who would come out on stage, talk about PlayStation. You'd be like, man, I love those guys. Sean Layden, I love that guy. Now they're gone. PlayStation doesn't give a fuck. They send out corporate written statements and they're basically telling us to get fucked. And now it's up to us to decide on whether that's what you want to support or whether that's not what you want to support. And if you don't support it, you can hope that PlayStation hears that and that they change things and that the future ends up different to what it's heading towards. But as long as those numbers keep going up, as long as money is there to be made, nothing's gonna fucking change. Little Big Planet's not coming back. Jak and Daxter's not coming back. Sly's not coming back, dude. It's almost like they've forgotten about their real core audience because all they want is this new modern audience that is leading them in the wrong direction. And it sucks.